balls, and
the rest of
but you know what they don't get? They don't really get passes.
I kind of like him.
That doesn't make you like him, because that makes me like him.
He's a fucking.
I liked it.
You know who I like?
I like how he's like, I like being quarterback because quarterback like throwing balls, and I like throwing balls like the rest of them. You know what else they like doing? They like running sometimes with the ball, and I like doing that too when my leg isn't hurt.
He sounds like one of those 8-year-old girls who does beauty pageants.
Yeah,
He's actually not even that good of a dancer either. He's always
he's like a Southern Belle.
Maybe if he didn't focus on his bench dances, he could be a better quarterback.
I like being quarterback because I like being on the bench doing dances. That's always been my favorite thing. I've always said that.
Always.
I know. I've always never said it.
Okay, let's get this going.
Yeah.
It's the sports program on TSPN with Derek, Zach, and Sean, who's been here the whole time. Head over to timespentpoorly.com and give the show a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and help move this show into more people's suggested lists. This show is also streamed live on many platforms, including YouTube, Twitch, and Periscope. Follow and subscribe so you don't miss out on an opportunity to chat in and give the guys a piece of your mind during the broadcast. Want to support the show? Great! Go to patreon.com/timespentpoorly to see how you can do that. And now it's my pleasure to bring you the hosts of the sports program on TSPN, Derek, Zach, and Sean.
Yo, yo, yo! We're here. We're ready. Our bodies are ready. Look at this. Live on a Saturday sports show. We have Sean here, though.
I live here.
He lives here.
In this room.
Well, yeah, in this room. Zach.
He moved in already? But we're all in Idaho now.
We're all in Idaho to do the show.
But still 2 different time zones.
Still 2 different time zones.
That's true.
You know what, though?
Yeah.
I do like the... I can't wait for Zach to be up here when we have all 3 do the show in the same room, though.
Yeah.
Where am I going to fit? Are we going to do the same angle and I'm just going to fit somewhere in between?
See where this hand is?
Yeah. Well,
I hope your hand is still there when I get there.
I'll rework the room and we'll use those gamer chairs and stuff, too. I had an idea. I just didn't have time to put it together.
Yeah. We partied too hard last night.
We did. But there are things... Zach actually has a list today.
So, yeah.
Of shit to talk about on this show.
Yeah, but then I started thinking about Mr. Nanny, and I'm kind of considering throwing it all out the window. And just stop
out the window and thinking about Mr. Nanny.
Mr. Hogan.
I just want to know what everyone's favorite Hogan movie is. Because I know everyone's...
Hogan movie is... I'm still going to say it's Suburban Commando.
Yeah, I think I like that more than Mr. Nanny.
What about... what is 3 Ninjas? 3?
Oh my God!
Is he in that?
He's the bad guy in the third one.
Oh, the third one. Okay.
It was way after the first 2, so there's different kids.
That's hilarious. The only reason why I even know that is because I've seen the movie on the shelves, but I've never seen the movie.
Well, that's the thing. I love the first 2. I love the first 2 Three Ninjas movies.
I love the first one.
Tom, Rocky, the other one.
Oh yeah, he's in Rocky. Is he in Rocky 3?
No, but he was just naming off the.
No, Rocky's one of the Three Ninjas, but yeah, I think he's in a Rocky movie as well.
Oh, sorry, my bad.
Where they get those?
Tom, Rocky, the other kid.
Is it Tom or is it Tum Tum?
Tum.
He was the youngest one, right?
Yeah, Rocky, the other guy.
Other one.
Oh,
I bet the parents were the same way. When you watch the movie, like before the parents leave, they're kind of the same way. They're like later Tum Tum, later Rocky, later the other kid.
Three Ninjas is pretty fucking good.
Three Ninjas is pretty good.
It's a way more badass Home Alone.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh my God, Miyagi is in the original.
Mr. Miyagi,
yeah.
So I'm really sad. I didn't know he had died at some point.
I didn't know it. I didn't know that he'd passed away until I watched Cobra.
I think I IMDb'd something and I just saw that he had passed it. And I didn't even know ever.
But
Well,
this
this
show
show's
is
for
about
him.
Mr. Miyagi.
But it is in his honor today.
It's for him. It's for his honor. R.I.P. Miyagi.
You taught us so much about ourselves and about I actually wanted to ask you guys before I get to any of the other topics. I want to know how you guys feel because Oklahoma and Texas officially committed to joining the SEC in 2025. Sean, I don't think you really give a shit about college football or basketball, but Derek, you do, right?
I have an opinion on it. I think it's a bad idea. I think it's a bad idea for both schools. I don't think going to SEC is going to improve them, and I think specifically Oklahoma is going to suffer. Oklahoma's had this thing, this Boise State effect, where Boise State was in the WAC and they were the best in the WAC and they were undefeated for like 3 years straight. Incredible. Kellen Moore has like the greatest college career of any college quarterback ever because of that whole run in the WAC. But then they went to Mountain West and they suck.
Yeah, it's easy to go undefeated when you play garbage teams.
And Oklahoma is going to go – if they go to the SEC, these little guys like Baker Mayfield aren't going to be getting Heisman trophies and going number 1 draft picks to the NFL. I think they're gonna get hurt.
He's a good dancer.
I don't think their like line play is going to improve drastically enough in the next couple of years to be viable there. Texas is a top 5 brand in college sports, and that's everything: football, basketball, baseball. They're a top 5 brand in all of them. They will get, and especially with Sark as the coach now, they're going to get the people needed to play the style of football to compete. But I think the problem is we're just slowly, because this is going to be a epidemic soon, right? Like it's going to be everyone jumping ship to join these Power 4 conferences. Pac-12 is going to be 16 teams. SEC will be 16 teams. We'll have to see what the Big Ten and the ACC do. I think the ACC is going to be okay, but it'll be interesting because when the Big Ten's expanded, right, they've actually been willing to take the Rutgers of the world, the Marylands of the world. They've been okay taking the non-powerhouses to build local rivalries up, right? Like they're close to each other. SEC is saying, we don't care how far out of the Southeast you are. We will take you if you can make us enough money. So it really depends. Would you rather watch Texas play Texas Tech, Texas Baylor, local schools, or would you rather them start new rivalries with Florida? Because I don't think the Florida versus Texas is going to be as fun. Having Texas versus Texas A&M back is great, but also Oklahoma has no rivals now, right? Oklahoma, I mean, they'll have Texas, but they won't have Oklahoma State. They're going to lose a lot of rivalries themselves. So,
to be honest, I guess I will admit I have a small bias. I don't really like the SEC, and I don't really want to watch the SEC. And if I was going to watch Oklahoma before, I'm not now.
With the Longhorn Network, I don't get that they needed the money. They had their own network already. Yeah. Like, I don't think they needed this move necessarily. And why would you not want the easier path to the title, right? Like, the problem is that they just weren't as good as they should have been the last couple of years. Like, they should have made those Final Fours. And they underachieved. So I think they're going to have a much harder path. But I also think we're getting to a point now where they're just going to let 4 SEC teams into, like, now that they have the expanded playoff, they're just going to let 4 in. So maybe they'll get there either way. But we're going to see some stuff this year. First year, we're going to see stuff like Ole Miss beating Oklahoma, right? I guess we should correct that. They have 3 years until this actually happens. Yeah. They can go early, but it's like a penalty up to $80 million if they left right away.
Good Lord.
They might just pay it. I've heard that they could make so much money in the first year that they might just take the loss and go over early. So a good example of that is that Saturday, I believe it's 1 o'clock your time, the Saturday 1 o'clock SEC game on CBS, right? Mm-hmm. That game pays $200 to $300 million to the teams that play in it. That's one game. A comparison, I didn't come up with this comparison.
They charge that much for tuition? Fuck.
I didn't come up with this comparison, but the guy who I believe he owns whoever owns the Dan Le Batard show. So I think it is DraftKings. The guy who has the network that DraftKings started. So they started their own network. They're going to have a TV network with sports on it. Like gambling is just going to rule.
I didn't know that Dan Le Batard left ESPN, to be honest.
He's got a whole crew. They call him the pirate ship. It's pretty awesome. There's like a squad of them. But he left $15 million. I don't know if that's annual or they just gave him $15 million, but it's a $15 million deal for him and his crew to leave. And it's DraftKings really trying to bolster their brand. And the guy who runs it is also the same guy who started the Longhorn Network and the SEC Network. So he has all this insider knowledge on this stuff. And he was saying, one game, over $200 million. And then a comparison is the ACC's deal with ESPN probably doesn't pulls in $200 million for the entire season. So that's the comparison, right? We're talking about an entire season compared to one game. So who cares if your team goes 6-6? You know who doesn't care if their team goes 6-6? The people making the $200 million.
Well, that's why some college teams go play to get beat, right? Just for the money.
But the thing is if you're a brand like Texas, you don't want to go get beat because then you're not that brand anymore. Best case scenario that they're probably thinking in their head is that they're instantly better than Texas A&M, which would be amazing for them. Instantly better than Texas A&M and somewhere worse than like Alabama, Georgia, right? Like it's going to be Alabama, Georgia, and then Texas. I think that's the best hopes. Alabama and like Auburn will be occasionally in there. But I don't think Oklahoma's in the top 5 there. Florida's better. They're going to lose to Ole Miss the first year they're in, guaranteed. It'll be interesting.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited to talk football, man.
I'm
getting so excited.
But I just hope it doesn't ruin the Pac-12 because the Pac-12 still has the local games. You know, we still have WSU, Oregon, WSU, Washington, Washington, USC. Like you can mix and match any of those, and they're pretty fun. And I think even if they have to go load up on bad academic schools like Boise State and just get to 16 teams, I think they'll be okay because it's all still pretty close. I just think if you were a Texas fan, you'd be bummed about the amount of travel that's about to hit your life.
I think Boise State makes sense, but I could even see, I could see a few other schools even in the area. I could even see them. I wouldn't want to dissolve any of the Big Sky at all, but I could even see a couple of those teams, just even though they suck, getting.
I think actually my real point in all of this is that ultimately I don't care that much because I feel like college football's already fallen apart anyways. You know, like the last 2 years, I've really lost my interest, and it's all cash grab. They don't really care. Yeah. The season doesn't matter anymore. The season doesn't matter at all. The SEC is going to get a couple teams in, and one of them it's either going to be Alabama, another team from the SEC, or Clemson, and we all know it. And that's just how it is every year now. So it's kind of already done.
And when it's not them, it's like the other older ones, like Ohio State or something. Like it's always going to be.
All of our kids are going to go to Alabama West. They're just going to start buying these smaller schools, and it's just going to all be Alabama West. Alabama West State College of Lewiston.
But they'll all get the degrees through Phoenix. They actually just start using Phoenix Online.
Phoenix Online.
No, it's Coursera now. It's Coursera now, man. Like literally, all the online grad schools that I looked at were powered by Coursera before I picked one, and I did pick one that was powered by Coursera.
I don't know why this is kind of popped in my head, but years ago on SNL they had one of those commercials for Phoenix Online. And one of the classes you could take was how to print off a diploma that looks like it's not from Phoenix Online.
That's the first thing you're going to need to be able to do.
Oh my God, it looks like in the commercial, they're like, it almost looks like it's from a real school.
On that nice card stock.
It's a real school. It's not real good, but it's real.
What is the real?
I was gonna say it's as real as any of the other ones.
You get a degree.
Yeah.
You can use that degree.
I mean, both of you graduated from a school. Do you consider the school that you graduated from a real school?
You know who does consider it a real school? My bank account. So send it.
Yeah, I was going to say, it doesn't really matter what I think of the school I went, as long as my employer recognizes it, then I'm pretty happy with the result.
Yeah, I got a job. I didn't think it was a real school. I didn't think it was.
The whole time I went, I was wondering if it was real, but it is real because I have a job.
It didn't feel real. It didn't feel real. But
no.
Anyways, last Saturday I woke up early and watched Team USA play Iran. Not because it was an important game, but I really just wanted to see one win happen.
And they beat them bad.
And they pretty much doubled their score. It was like 120 to 66.
Yeah, it was big.
There wasn't a lot of takeaways except for moving Booker into the starting lineup, which I talked about a little bit last week. I think they made one more change now, which is moving Draymond to the bench and playing with 4 guards and Bam to start. So they dominated the Czech Republic today, which is a slightly better team than Iran. You can always say that because they also beat Iran pretty well. We beat Czech Republic actually better than France did with this lineup. Okay. And what's really good about it is we're just saying we're not going to adjust to you anymore. Against France, we played 2 bigs because they were playing 2 bigs. Instead, what we're saying now is we're a better team than you. We have better talent, which is what they should have been doing anyways, and saying you can adjust to us. Like we're going to, and that's what good teams do in the NBA, right? They play small because that's how they want to play. Like when the Rockets play small, the other team doesn't keep playing big. They adjust to playing small, right? Like that's how it was with Harden. But we made the mistake game 1 of adjusting to France. And I think the next time we play them, we're just going to say, here's our lineup. Try to gun, try to score.
You had mentioned it from that documentary, like the part where you showed Coach K, like, hey, I know like your teams tell you don't leave those egos at the door, but I need you to bring those egos.
Right.
So it's kind of going like what you're saying. Like they're going to go play France now. They're going to play what they want. Right. How they should.
And it's not going to be easy. I'm not coming on here saying like, no, we've completely changed. What I'm saying is they at least have an identity now, which is
the France team is an NBA team almost though. They have like
6 guys, yeah.
And I mean it's an NBA team. Like
and Gobert can cause problems. Here is a real reason. And they don't really I found out about it through the documentary. Actually, I didn't know this rule, but in the NBA, there's a defensive 3 seconds, right? Like you can't stay in the painted area for more than 3 seconds or it's a foul. There isn't that there's still an offensive 3 seconds in foreign basketball, but there is not a defensive. So Gobert can stand right under the basket and defend it the entire time if he wants to. He does not have to get out of there. That's a big rule change. Gobert's already a defensive player of the year and should have probably won it more times than he has. And they have 2 Goberts on that team. They have like 2 7-footers that can disrupt. I think if we would have played them any other time other than when we did, though, I think we would have won that game. Booker had been in Japan for like 12 hours. Same with Middleton couldn't even play that game because I'm assuming he celebrated the NBA championship. I don't think Drew did.
Probably hungover.
Probably. It was only 3 days afterwards.
Hungover, layover.
Well, how old is he, too?
He's 28, maybe.
Never mind. He's fine.
I was gonna say he's not past the point of no return. He's not our age where you're hungover for 2 to 3 days.
Yeah.
But I said this after last.
You should just choose to say it out like that Simone Biles or whatever her name is.
Didn't she break her leg?
No, she's just mental health stuff. But I've seen so many things online, and then I've seen so many things making fun of it, like just cartoons of just big fat blobs sitting on the couch being like,
oh yeah, you said that. Yeah, you shared that.
Or like that one like, I can't believe he's ducking it. I'd hang and bang with Connor all day, like, and it's like the big fat guy on the couch. It's like that.
That's my favorite one.
But the armchair experts like, oh, she should be fighting for her country. It's like, just shut the fuck up.
It's also these are also the same people. These are also the same people who aren't watching the Olympics, and because they said they're not going to, right? And now they're judging it.
Yeah.
Now,
I ain't gonna watch the Olympics.
Back to the basketball game though. So Middleton. One thing I said after last week's show, which I mean, I'm right a lot, you know. I'm right a lot. After last week's show, I said Middleton needs to, even if Middleton isn't going to play a lot, he needs to be in at the end of halves, end of the second half, end of the fourth quarter, because he's already used to that role with Giannis, right? Like Giannis isn't going to score at the end of the half. He's used to taking that shot, and in the last 2 games, make it or miss it, they're giving it to Middleton. They're not giving it to Dame. They're not giving it to Kevin Durant. That one of those 2 might take the ball up the court, but they're getting it to Middleton. And having that bench of Middleton, Tatum, Draymond Green, and Zach LaVine, which is a team that could probably beat any, like talent-wise, beat any of these foreign teams, right? Having that as your bench is insane. And Tatum went off today. So Lillard doesn't have to go off every night. Kevin Durant doesn't have to go off every night. They have so much talent. It's going to be a hard road. I'm really interested in them playing Australia. I'm scared about them playing Luka. And I'm not worried about the old guard, though. I'm not worried about Argentina. I'm not worried about Spain. And then France the second time around, I hope we adjust.
If there's any team that is going to win it other than the USA men's, I would prefer Luka to win it.
Yeah.
I would prefer Australia. I would like Patty to get his gold finally.
Okay.
Who's Patty?
Patty Mills from the Spurs. Soon
he's
to
a
be,
Spur?
Well,
I ain't never heard of no Spurs.
The free agent deadline the free agency starts Monday for the NBA, so he's a Spur for 2 more days. He'll either go to the Celtics or the Warriors.
We could talk about that because we've seen some stuff already. We saw Westbrook.
We got a trade already. One of the worst trades I've ever seen.
Do you think they gave too much and got too little?
And I'm sure this is the same sentiment on every sports program out there, that I don't know who's going to shoot the ball. And once free agency does happen and they are able to bring in some of these cheap shooters, aka Duncan Robinson, y'all need to sign that dude. Once they pull in some of these cheap shooters and maybe get rid of Schroeder and do some other stuff, I might be more happy with it, but I don't like it because Russell's not going to shoot threes. Anthony Davis kind of can, but he's not going to be a sniper. And then they said this yesterday, I think on ESPN, the best 3-point shooter remaining now that they've traded Kuzma and Caldwell Pope is LeBron James. If LeBron James is your best 3-point shooter, you're in trouble.
Which the biggest thing they were missing was shooting already. Like, they're inconsistent with Kuzma.
Yeah, Kuzma and Pope just.
So they needed like a Klay Thompson.
Yeah. So give too much? No. I think asset-wise, this was smart for both teams. Think about what Washington did, man. They were drowning in John Wall, and they got rid of him for another bad contract in Westbrook, but slightly better, right? And in a year's time, we're able to dump both contracts. Now they have manageable contracts that add up to about the same, but they can get rid of them if they want to. They don't need to keep Kuzma, although they can. They don't need to keep Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, although they can, and I think that's a good pickup for them.
Kuzma and Bradley Beal?
Yeah. I think the play for Westbrook is more to do with...
I like Kuzma a lot. He just sucked last season.
He's just not as good as we think he is. Like, I think it might have been Bill, or who was it? It was someone this week. They made the comparison that, like, we think he's a scorer. Like, we think he's a bucket, but there's no stats that back that up. Like, there's actually nothing that backs up that he's a good bench scorer. We just think he is. So I like the dump by both teams. They're both in much more manageable positions. Not to mention the Wizards had a great draft. We'll circle back to that in a minute. But they had a really good draft. The Lakers just need to get some... They need to, one, do something with Schroeder, because they just need They just need a guard who can shoot now, because they have plenty of guys to handle the ball.
Yeah.
They need to get rid of Schroeder. If they can get like a Duncan Robinson and then maybe like one other good bench player, I think they're going to be fine. And you know what they should do? They should bring back Dwight Howard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was kind of shocked
They
got
need
rid
a
of him
center.
in general. He had such a good season.
Well, so Dwight Howard.
I think that was like Montrezl Harrell was supposed to be the.
I'm glad they got rid of him, man. He didn't make any sense on that team.
I thought the Lakers were going to try to make a push for. I thought they were going to try to get CJ. Honestly, I thought they were going to try to get CJ McCollum.
For the Lakers?
Yeah, that's who I thought they were going to go for. I don't know.
I mean,
they could have traded.
they still could, right?
I mean, they still could. I don't want any. No offense. No offense to the Lakers. I don't really want any of those guys though.
Yeah.
There's people I would be interested as a Portland fan to get, and there's not really anybody in the Lakers that I'm like dead set on getting.
The 3 players they got rid of, I'm like, okay, no loss.
Yeah. I mean, I would. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess defensively, even Russell Westbrook, I'd be happy with a Russell Westbrook for defense.
I like Russell more than most people do, so I don't want to completely bash him. I don't think it's a great fit, but
yeah,
I think what they're thinking. I think they're thinking 2 years down the road with Russell, like Russell and Anthony Davis together, and then once they get more shooters around them,
okay,
they're going to get more pieces though. I went through yesterday. ESPN released the list. I wish I could find it now. I wish I would have bookmarked it, but ESPN released a by position who's hitting free agency. Mm-hmm. And I just remember seeing a ton of shooters on there, cheap shooters too. So I think that's fine. I actually also think, speaking of Patty Mills, who apparently Sean's never heard of, that's a good fit for him.
The name's familiar. You know me though. I don't. If it's
so.
not
So Patty Mills was very clutch in the 2014 championship against the Heat, and then him and Danny Green went off in the 2013 championship that we lost because of Ray Allen being just a real monster of a man.
He's a freak. He's a freak.
Big old donger.
So he ended up getting a championship with Celtics and the Heat, right?
Yes. Which the Celtics have never forgiven him for, by the way. Like that's a Kevin Garnett will die bitter over that.
Yeah.
So
like him leaving.
Because he just left, man. There was that year where they lost to the Heat, and then I think the Heat ended up losing to the Mavericks, right? Somehow in the finals, which is still crazy. Dirk got one, which is awesome.
Dirk guys won.
He did.
Vince Carter got one. Jason Kidd got one.
They beat the Lakers to get there. I think in the round 1 or something.
But that got a lot of people a championship, man. It got Dirk his. It got Jason Kidd his. It got Vince his. Right, like.
Dirk could not be stopped in that entire playoff.
No, he was really good.
It's just good for
his
them.
little jump back fadeaway shot that he does haunts me to this day. But
yeah, and Kawhi was 1 year away that year from being Kawhi, so like perfect timing. A lot of championships, when you go back and look at them, we could be saying this about the Bucks championship this year. Perfect storm, right? Just the exact right time, all the right stuff happened. But that's sports in general, man. If you look at every Super Bowl that's ever happened, like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers last year, it's just the perfect storm. And I know they're like a huge favorite to come back and win it, but that's not how the NFL works. And we'll talk the NFL in a bit. We'll circle back to it.
Well,
but
I got
how often does a team? Oh yeah, you might not be here. You got like
you
10
guys,
minutes,
but I'm gonna watch.
Okay,
I'm gonna watch on my phone.
So I don't love. Yeah, give us some comments as we go. Give us some juice. I don't love the Russell Westbrook thing yet, but I could.
I think you guys should save the fantasy talk for next week.
Should we save our team too?
Yeah, save our team and fantasy talk next week.
But I'll give a clue that next week on the show, next week on America's show, we will choose our team
and we were talking about doing a fantasy.
But we'll do
and I'll get that going before next week. I've always wanted to be a commissioner, guys. This is huge for me.
Oh, good. That's awesome. We were really hoping you'd do it.
Yeah, because we don't know. Okay.
We were really hoping you'd be commish. All right.
Well, I'm back. I live here.
Yeah.
This is probably this is the new format.
Probably. Yeah.
So
good to see you two in the same room together. I got some more things to keep going, and I'm glad Derek's going to be around for it. We still got some Carson Wentz talk. We still got some Aaron Rodgers talk.
Okay, tune in.
And now I'm going to move because we talked Russell Westbrook. now we can move on to what I kind of mentioned before, which is that after the Wizards made that trade, they actually had a pretty good draft. And I want to talk about some other teams that had a pretty good draft.
Mm-hmm.
Before I do winners and losers, though, it was did you watch any of it? It's weird at this point. Like you get the alert on your phone before they announce it every time now. Or if you're on Twitter, it's on there 5 minutes before they announce it.
It's super delayed. Like, what's the deal?
The trades are awful, man. Like, the people in the building don't know when the pick's been traded. So, like, the example everyone's using is Kai Jones, the Texas center, who I think is going to be a huge bust, even though I'm a Longhorn fan. Huge bust. Not going to be good. That doesn't matter. Some people, he's one of those guys. Actually, before I tell the story, he's one of those guys that if you go watch his like 5-minute highlight reel, you're like, this guy could be the number one pick of the draft. He's amazing. So, of course, if they show it's in New York, right, and they show the highlights to the Knicks fans, they're gonna lose their shit. The Knicks draft him, but it's already been announced for like 5 minutes. It's already been announced for like 5 minutes that the Knicks have traded the pick. Oh, we got.
I forgot my key to the car.
So it's already been announced for 5 minutes that the Knicks have traded the pick, right? They traded the rights to Kai Jones, but they still have to go up there and say the Knicks have selected Kai Jones. That's how the draft works. They still say the team who really would have had that spot. And then later they go up and say the trade is official because there has to be some time for the league to approve.
Oh, okay.
So they say the Knicks have drafted Kai Jones and it's in New York and the crowd goes ham. Like they're all excited because he dropped almost to like the 20th pick at the draft. It's a good value pick, even if he is boom or bust. And then every single person that's commentating goes, well, I don't think anyone here knows that it's not the Knicks taking this. Like they know, and they're telling us as the audience, we know, but no one there knows. But there was also times during the draft where even the commentators didn't know yet, but or they forgot. Because Kendrick Perkins is not the smartest dude in the world, I don't think. And he pretty much never knew. He went on like a 2-minute rant about how good of a fit one of the players was on a certain team. And they're like, oh, he's not on that team. And he like gets frustrated. Like you can tell he's frustrated that no one gave him like in his ear that, hey, this isn't right.
I mean, I'd be pissed though too.
Social media has made it so hard. They need to figure out how the NFL does it and make it work. And they need to steal that. I don't know. It's the same network. ESPN does both. There has to be a way for them to figure this out. But the problem is that there's people like Woj, like the NBA insiders. They're too good at their jobs. They're on Twitter like 20 minutes beforehand already knowing the wheeling and dealing of the draft. Like if you're a player, you could probably just ask Woj the day before where you're going and he could probably tell you.
Yeah. It's crazy. So good at it.
But there were some good things. I don't think your Blazers had a first round pick.
First, but
I don't think that's a big deal. They're a team who like wants to win now. Free agency is going to be super important for them.
Yeah, for the whole draft, I didn't even really pay attention to what the Blazers were doing because even as a fan, I know that it's going to be more. I'm looking more towards the free agency.
Yep, who they're going to keep and who they're going to add is more important, but or who they might trade for because that's still. Or there's option 3, which is or someone gives them enough assets, like the Golden State Warriors, who had 2 first-round picks and neither of them made sense, but we'll get there. Or the Golden State Warriors make a trade and take Lillard from you.
Oh no.
Are you allowed to? I know we just picked them for you last year, but are you allowed to pivot if Lillard's gone?
I mean,
would you pivot if Lillard's gone?
No, I won't. Mostly because honestly, if he goes, I hope he goes and wins.
Also, I mean, you guys didn't win a championship with him anyway, so maybe you actually get something out of him. One thing that's like super important now, and I've realized it, is you have to get something for your guys. You can't just let them go for nothing. Like the Rockets are a great example because I have the Rockets as the winner of the draft, by the way. I hated doing it. I have my 5 that are winners of the draft, and they're number 1 because they turned James Harden into actual players that can help them. Jalen Green, who was the second pick of the draft, He was a G League Ignite guy. So the G League Ignite, the people who skipped, they made a team in the G League for guys who skipped college called the G League Ignite. They had 4 of their 5 starters go in this first round, I believe, which is wild. But anyways, Jalen is, they've said last year probably would have been the number 1 draft pick overall, like over Edwards, over Ball.
Wow.
So like he's that much of a talent, and he went 2. So that's really interesting, and he could have dropped to 3 even. The Rockets get him at 2. Then they get, his name is Usman Garuba, who is a 19-year-old from the Spanish league, which is the best league outside of the United States. I thought we wanted him because we played Spain in one of those exhibition games, right? And Greg Popovich is the coach, and he should have seen this kid's 19, he's 6'8", and they're saying he's like the best pick and roll defender in the entire draft, which that's like playing through pick and rolls and people shooting threes is all that's happening in the NBA right now. So that would have been nice for us to have. They get him. The other guy that was drastically linked to the Spurs, you can tell I'm saying the Rockets had the best draft because they stole all the people that I wanted. And when I say steal, I mean we passed up on both of these guys, and they just took them because they were there. They traded back into the top 20, and they got Sengun, who's from the Turkish league. And at 18, he won MVP at 18 years old. He's 6'11". He was the best passing big man in the draft. He can't play defense, but he can do everything else well. Like he's almost 7 feet and he can shoot threes. He can pass really well. Like kind of think like scrawny Jokic, right? Like the guy who just won the MVP. Totally would make sense for the Spurs, who have one guy over 6'5" on the entire roster, I think, at this point.
Yeah.
Rockets got him too. So Rockets didn't just get potentially the best player in the draft. They also picked 2 guys with tremendous upside. So Rockets are huge. And like it kind of goes back to, once again, as a bitter Spurs fan, Kawhi Leonard, we just tried to swap him for something that worked, like DeRozan, kind of.
Yeah.
I mean, we traded an A player for a B player, right? Just because we wanted to still be competitive. But you get draft picks, you get first rounders for these guys, and you turn them into the future. So I think that's what, like, if you're a Blazers fan, that's what you hope. If you get rid of Lillard, do what the Rockets did. So I think they're the main winner. I think Detroit and the Cavs, you could also say, are winners, because I think the top 3 picks are all going to work out. Evan Mobley, who went 3 to the Cavs, I actually think is the best player in the entire draft, but we'll never see almost 7-footer go number 1 or 2 ever again. It's been ruined. Like too many shooters have come into the league and made instant impacts. There's too many Lukas in the world. There's too many Trae Youngs in the world. And then there's too many people that have gone number 1 that, yes, it's nice to have a 7-footer on your team, but you don't need to draft them number 1. Just go find one and pay him money. Go find one who's already in the league, who was number 1 6 years ago, and pay him money. You don't need to do that. So also the number 2 team I had on here, even though they weren't even in the lottery, is the Brooklyn Nets. I think they probably, I shouldn't have as number 2. I should say that outside the Rockets, there's really no order to the rest of this, but they got Cam Thomas in near the second half of the first round. He's a LSU guard and can't play defense, but as far as and like an elite college scorer, I think he averaged like 23 points a game in college, which is very hard to do. Wow. So the rich get richer. Like the Nets had a very good draft. They had 4 draft picks in this, which is wild to think about.
Yeah, because they almost went to the finals.
So like it's cool that they're still making moves and they're not being complacent, right? Like they're probably going to add more firepower to this team, if anything. I'm trying to think of who else I had on this list. I put some stuff in here. The Magic, man. Getting that Gonzaga point guard to drop to them was huge. They got a couple of picks that just fell right into their hands, which the Magic are never that team. The Magic are always a team who get Mo Bamba and people that maybe could be good, but they just barely miss the good guy. You know, like all the great players of the draft seem to go right before the Magic have a pick. Yeah. So good for them. I think Magic, Rockets, Nets, like I already said, like interchangeable on who all did good. And then, you got to give Cleveland and Detroit, just because for Detroit, it finally feels like maybe they're not Detroit anymore. Yeah. You know, like they might have gotten out of that. The losers, Golden State, unless they take those two young guys and actually trade them to you for Lillard or CJ or someone. Otherwise, they have two 18-year-old kids they just drafted, 18, 19, who we don't know if they'll ever be good. They're just huge upside. I don't know. The Spurs drafted a guy that wasn't even necessarily projected as a first rounder in the lottery. So I think we are unanimously the biggest surprise of the first rounder. We had a D on most draft grades that you can see from like Bleacher Report, really? ESPN. The only defense on it, I will say, is that they said next year, if that kid would have went back to college, right? Like Book Knight did from UConn. If he would have went back, he would have been a lottery pick next year, right? Okay. So I think to defend it, you're saying the Spurs don't plan on being in the lottery again next year. So they're like, this is our chance to get a lottery type talent. Okay. His highlight reels, like, kind of his highlight just sprints across. What'd you get?
Just like the Flash.
Oh, we got pillows. Big day.
Pillows.
Big day, baby.
No.
Let's go.
Let's go to sleep.
Let's go lay down. Let's go. Let's use them. Hope they look nice.
You should ask her if they're those My Pillow pillows.
I don't know what those are. Google it.
My Pillow.
I haven't been able to read the comment sections for the last 3 days on any like Spurs social media because every single person's pretty butthurt about it. Mostly because Sengun was still there, Garuba was still there. What most fans, I guess, don't realize, which is why I'm just going to stay calm, is that just go get a big guy in free agency. There's tons. And we have $50 million in cap space. We can pay them whatever they want. We're going to get a couple big guys to come to San Antonio. And they're just not that important anymore. You need one or two of them on your entire team now. Like, if you're the Blazers, you need Nurkic and someone to back up Nurkic. You don't. Yeah. Everyone else on that team was below 6'8" like last year, right? It's just you can make the playoffs with that roster.
I mean, and they'll make the playoffs again if they kept the same guys. It's like, well, I always think it's funny because the Portland will get far. That one year they got really far, and then they just gutted it. And it's like, no, you don't have to gut it. Just add some more. But they went and got rid of like all those dudes. And like,
I liked that team too.
Yeah, with Aminu, God, I would have kept him.
Al Farouk,
Al Farouk Aminu, I would have kept him. I would have kept. I think that we still had.
I liked Lyman, who ended up going to or Layman, who ended up going to Minnesota. I think he was a great fit.
We had Seth Curry.
Yeah, that you guys didn't know what you had there.
Yeah, God, I mean that was a good team, and that was with Nurk hurt, and they like brought in Cantor as like. So then so I'm thinking like the next year I'm thinking like, okay, you keep this team, then you got. Then you got Nurk coming back. Collins was hurt. Like you're thinking, like Collins will be back. Like okay, but then they just gutted it. Got rid of all those dudes, and you're like, that's not what I thought was needed. But
and I like Powell. I like the addition of Powell this year. I obviously like that they brought Melo back, but Powell, Carmelo Anthony, and Zach Collins are all free agents.
Yeah.
So a lot can happen. It might be very similar. We might just see a whole another crew of rotating pieces come around CJ and Lillard, and they might just keep doing that until they find something that works.
Yeah, I would. Or
they might tear it down.
I would like for them to bring back Melo, but
me too.
Collins can go.
He's just hurt too much.
He's hurt too much.
But he's still only 23. Someone else might develop him. I personally think he'd be a great Spur.
Sure. No, I think he actually probably would be a great Spur.
He's a good fit. He's bad.
Well, I mean, but they also
fits
are
the culture.
I don't know. Sometimes, yeah. I mean, well, that's like the Spurs are like traditionally like that's like a team that makes good or bad players good, though.
Yeah, but I think what we've learned is tradition's over. We also are a team that drafted well until the last 2 years. So. Good times are over. Sadly.
Yeah.
Sadly. Memphis, that they were weird because I just really loved this team before the draft. I thought Memphis had 4 guys all on the same timeline. Let's get someone who's ready to contribute. And instead they kind of did what the Warriors did. They took guys who were boom or bust, and you can't develop people right now, I don't think. And then the Pelicans, same thing. Pelicans are kind of the same thing. Like, they're not putting anybody around Zion. They're just taking more risk. I don't understand those guys. Actually, I think they might have ended up getting rid of those people. I think what they're doing is they're just clearing house.
Yeah.
And then they're going to go try to sign some people to play around them.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. She's just going to keep running around.
Sprinting. She's fast.
Yeah, she's really quick. That's why I like her.
Pew! Getting by. Join the show. Join the show. All right.
Yeah. That was it for my losers. I actually don't think I think a lot of teams were losers, but like it was just a weird draft. And it just makes it made me realize that even the experts don't really know. Like, how could you? I just watched the documentary on the 96 draft where Kobe falls to 13. And then and then the Hornets trade him for Vlade Divac or whoever. And it's like, and no other picks. It's just a straight across trade for a 30-year-old man. And he ends up being like Kobe Bryant. And it just shows you people don't know anything.
No.
At all. People have no
maybe
idea.
And like we said, maybe it ends up being really good picks. Maybe all of those teams that lost end up doing way different than what we expected, because there's just really no way of knowing.
You know who really did know their shit for a while? The Portland Trailblazers. Because if you think about it, CJ was like a college guy, like played multiple years. Lillard was like a college guy, played multiple years. And they both picked him in like the late lottery, right? Or mid lottery. Yeah. And you're like, wow, Portland keeps knowing what they're doing. Yeah. The problem is that because of those guys, they haven't had a lottery pick since, right? Like, they're great. They're great in the middle of the lottery.
Even Collins was a really good draft value. I think he was like the 7th pick, the 7th pick, but pretty good value. He had just gotten known with that Gonzaga team that went all the way and lost. But
speaking of Gonzaga teams, I think Kispert, like the white 3-point shooter that got drafted, he went in the lottery. I think he's going to be the biggest question mark. Is there still room for like a Kyle Korver-esque player in the league?
Good question.
I think there is. Every team's going to have one of those guys now, like a Duncan Robinson, which is just like a guy who can't play defense at all, and you just have to hide him because you need that 3-point shooting.
Duncan Robinson's great, though.
I love Duncan Robinson.
Where do you think Simmons will go?
Simmons? I mean, I wish they would have traded CJ for him. That's where I would want him to go, is Portland. I would want him to go to Portland, but I don't think he's going there anymore.
And Philly wants so much, they want too much for him. To me,
you'd have to be all in if you wanted to commit. You'd have to give him next year's first, the year after's first, and CJ McCollum is what I'm guessing.
And I think that's what they want, but I think what he's worth is a 1-for-1 trade with Portland for CJ for Simmons.
That is what he's worth right now because he had that really bad playoffs. Yeah. If he probably could have been worth what they wanted beforehand, but it's too late for that. I would like that to happen because I would rather that happen than you guys tear it down and trade Lillard to Golden State or Lillard somewhere else or CJ to Golden State. Then 2 teams that I like, because I have soft spots for both Portland and the 76ers, they both get better. So I would prefer that to happen. I don't know if it'll happen.
If they did a 1-for-1 trade CJ for Simmons, it would actually drastically improve both teams immediately, I feel like. Because we don't need CJ and Damian. We need somebody who could play defense.
The Spurs put a feeler out for Ben Simmons, actually. We actually put Derek. We put DeJounte and Derek White on the trading block. And that number 12 pick that we ended up just burning to the ground anyways. I don't think it was enough, even close. The thing is we might have the least amount of assets in the entire league, like tradable assets that are desirable. We might have the least amount. Doesn't mean they're not good. I think Keldon might be good. I think DeJounte is good. I think Lonnie could be good. It's just we're talking about a bunch of like C+, B+ at best assets for an A+ player, defensively at least.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty solid for the draft. The other two things that happened this week did you watch the Aaron Rodgers press conference?
I watched
clips?
I watched some of it because it was kind of long.
It was 30 minutes, yeah.
It was crazy to see. It was crazy to see like this, like free for all press conference though. Like it seemed like
say whatever you want
and ask whatever you want, and it just seemed crazy that he did it.
It must have been part of his agreement to come back. Like, hey, I get to tell my side of the story if I'm going to actually show up.
Yeah.
Interesting. I don't disagree with anything that he said necessarily, but I do think it was probably one of the cockiest interviews I've ever watched, where he goes like, let's be honest, like Green Bay isn't a free agent destination place. People are coming here to play with me specifically and win a championship with me specifically. Like him saying all of that, I was like, man, this guy is so far up his own butt. It was weird.
That kind of weird, I don't know, that kind of weird honesty though reminds me of somebody who I would like for Aaron to replace in the next year after the year is over.
I know where you're going with this.
I'm all in on Aaron Rodgers becoming a Steeler after Ben retires. I'm all in. But I'll tell you why. And it's because a lot of people, I've talked to a few people who are like, no, we want somebody young and new. I'm like, no, but you don't. It's like they're forgetting what it was like to have a Hall of Fame quarterback. It's like they forgot what it feels like before, 17 years ago when we were floundering, basically trying to find like the next thing. And then you finally get one for a long time. And people are like, oh, no, we don't want Aaron Rodgers after Ben's done. He's old too. And it's like, okay, well, first off, you just watched how Aaron Rodgers is playing right now. Like you just saw his last season where he
won MVP
to the championship, to the NFC championship game. Like, dude,
not only did he win MVP, but like honestly, they were the best team last year. They really were. I think they were the most talented team in the league.
And
but that's why he shouldn't leave yet. That's why he needs to come back this year. That's why I guarantee he's back. He knows where he had the best chance. And next year, I'm with you, and here's why. He wants to go to LA, right? Like he wants to go back to California. But Niners have.
Oh. Did I lose you?
I lost you for a second.
I lost you for a second as well. What were you saying? Niners what?
Niners have 2 quarterbacks, so they don't need them.
Nope.
LA has Stafford.
Yeah.
They're all taken. He can't go to LA.
No.
So for a long time, by the way, because 2 of the 3 have young guys.
Oh, yeah.
And then Stafford isn't old, and they are too invested, I think, to just do a Stafford for Rodgers trade next year. Although that's kind of genius. If you think about it. Stafford doesn't all the way pan out and has to go back to the NFC North where he belongs. But the reason Steelers makes sense is he plays for a historic franchise. He knows what that feels like. And until Tom Brady stole the most championships ever, no franchise in football was more historic than the Steelers.
Right.
Well-traveled. He would love another big fan base like that. He's not going to get to go to LA where he belongs. Unless he thinks he's going to go take Brady's place in Tampa next year, then which he could, and now I'm scared thinking about it. But
so maybe if he wants to end up in California, maybe he just needs to make a short pit stop.
Yeah, 1 year. Send it.
How funny would it be though? Or funny, I don't know. For him, so the last Super Bowl the Steelers were in, they lost to Aaron Rodgers. How funny would it be for him to go to the Steelers, go get a Super Bowl, against the team he beat in the Super Bowl. But no, I'm all in. I'm not a huge Rodgers guy, but obviously he's like the most talented quarterback that we've had in a really long, like in the league, just in general. He's really talented. I'm also like, I do lean more towards like I like the tried and true. I'd rather take another risk on somebody like Aaron Rodgers after Ben. Take a shot on Aaron Rodgers, who still plays really well, right? And then while you have Aaron Rodgers in there, really be trying to figure out that next person. Like really try to figure out who the next person is. Don't try to figure out this year. It's not going to be Mason Rudolph. It most likely isn't going to be Dwayne Haskins. You know, it's not. It's. Oh, I also did see. I also saw this online though. I was gonna pitch this to you, see what you thought. I also saw Jimmy Garoppolo as a future Steeler.
That makes more sense to me.
Well, and yeah, if they got Trey Lance, like the Niners have Trey Lance.
The only way it doesn't happen is if Jimmy G wins a Super Bowl for the 49ers this next year. It's the only way it doesn't happen. Anything short of a Super Bowl, including a Super Bowl loss, he's out. They have to win a Super Bowl to keep him. That's the only way. That's the only way he's going to prove himself to that team.
Yeah.
So it makes sense.
So while we're talking about quarterbacks, we should mention that I can't believe it already. I mean, I can believe it.
You should believe it.
And I do believe it. Already, the Indianapolis Colts do not have Carson Wentz for a quarterback for the foreseeable future.
Right. The best thing they said today was that they think he'll be back this year, which is not the most. That can mean a lot of things. This season goes into 2022. So,
what kind of a foot injury do you get that you can't play at all? He must have broke.
It would have to be broken.
Yeah, that's crazy. They just got him.
Have you noticed when a player isn't injury prone, they tell you exactly what the injury is, but when you have people like Carson Wentz and Kawhi Leonard, they just leave it vague because, like, you deep down you know it's bad, and they're just like, we don't want to go through this again. It took a month for them to say what Kawhi Leonard had. A month. Yeah. Because he's a weirdo.
It was crazy, man. Like that they got Carson Wentz and already it's tits up already.
Man. And not only that, man, we'll get more into fantasies probably starting next week, but I just took Jonathan Taylor as my keeper, and I was really torn between him and Swift. And I was like, man, Jonathan Taylor being the running back for Carson Wentz, like, he's a number one back in fantasy. Number one back. And now it's Eason, by the way, second-year player from University of Washington, big, beefy boy. Like, if you put him next to... If you put him next to Roethlisberger 2 years ago, when me and you were doing a show talking about the draft, I said I think the Steelers should get Eason.
Yeah,
he's going to get a chance to play. He's only 23, big beefy boy. Team says he looks pretty good. I think Wentz said he looks pretty good. So it'll be interesting. I don't think he takes Wentz's job. I was joking about that to people yesterday, but I think Wentz will come back and be fine. But another setback in one of what's airing out to be one of the most tragic careers ever.
Yeah, man, it really is. It really is shaping up to be a bad career now. I mean, he had that one really good season. Well, two pretty good. One pretty good season, one really good season.
Are we going to find him endearing in a couple of years like we did with Jay Cutler?
We might.
He's our guy.
I've grown on a few people that I didn't think I would grow on. I think I really like Dak Prescott, even though we'll talk about this next week. But Dak, I'm glad he's going to be back. I'm genuinely glad he's going to be back. Fitzpatrick has grown on me. Like I'm still not into like the Fitz magic thing, but I do like rooting for him, and I'll probably root for the football club this year just for his sake, just to see him do something. And I also like I can't remember the coach's name. He was from the Panthers. He's their coach now.
Riverboat Ron.
Oh yeah, I like Ron Rivera.
Me too. I like Riverboat Ron too.
I'm still kind of surprised that Alex Smith didn't stay aboard as like something. But I also
He's already doing that commentator stuff, man. He's sneaking into analyst roles left and right.
I really wanted him. I really wanted Alex Smith to go to the Jaguars for a season. I wanted him to go.
I thought it was going to happen for sure.
I wanted him to go play for Urban Meyer one more time and help Trevor Lawrence get ready.
Right.
Go send Alex Smith out there with his robot leg. I think the problem is that
he probably didn't want to be around Gardner Minshew because no one does.
It's true. I also think Alex Smith is probably like the teams that are looking at him, because you do have the injury to think about, and it's like, okay, if my quarterback gets hurt, I'm going to have to start this guy.
Yeah.
This guy's leg is a mutant leg.
It's mutilated.
Dude, it's so bad still looking. It's so bad. I mean, I love Alex Smith, and I'm so glad that he won that Comeback Player of the Year. I still think they should name the award. I think they should name it the Alex Smith Comeback Player of the Year award.
I agree.
Dak will get it this next year.
Oh, he's so set up for it. Unless he gets hurt again.
Yeah. Unless he gets hurt.
Because, they do he could be the next Carson Wentz. He could be the next Carson Wentz and just...
I don't want to talk too much about the Cowboys, but we'll talk about them next week.
They're going to get their time in the sun.
They will get their time. Because I hate them, but they will get their time.
This was a good show.
No, it was a great show. I had one more thing to ask you. Okay. So now that I wanted to talk to you about your division specifically. Falcons, Buccaneers, Saints, Panthers. So the Panthers got Sam Darnold.
Sure.
And the Saints have either Taysom Hill or Jameis Winston.
Sure.
And then there's the Bucs. Obviously, they won the Super Bowl. So, do you think now could be the time the Falcons this could be the year, right?
They're a great candidate, and we'll get there because we'll do a show on this. They'll be a great candidate for worst to first.
Worst to first.
They're a great candidate. By the way, we're not going to do one on each side this year. Normally do an AFC and an NFC worst to first.
Oh, sure. Okay.
We should just do one. Have you looked at the AFC? Everyone who was in last year is staying in last. Jets, Bengals, Jaguars, whoever, who was the last one? Jets, Bengals, Jaguars. I'm missing a division. Broncos.
Yeah.
They all have great chances to still be in last.
Yeah, I mean, the Broncos could make a jump, but I'm not seeing a worst to first scenario for them. Not with the Chiefs, not with
Chargers,
even the Raiders, Chargers. I think the Chargers might be the team, though, this year.
That's a really tough division. Super tough.
Yeah.
They might get 3 teams in.
That's a tough division, and then obviously like the Steelers division. Because I just don't see it going away. Everyone wants to anoint Cleveland and Baltimore right still. But it's just not going to go away. I think the Steelers are still going to make a run. They got Najee Harris, who has looked good so far in training camp.
Pick him up.
Everyone's really excited about Najee Harris and like having a.
Are you gonna draft Najee Harris in the first round in our fantasy draft?
Yeah, I'll take Najee Harris probably. I'll take Najee Harris because I want to root for him so bad. We've needed a really good running back though for a while, and I think with Najee Harris and they still have Benny Snell, who's not something to scoff at.
I've scoffed at him.
I mean, he had some good carries, and
no, he's good.
He's not the number one running back though. Like he's not that guy.
No, you're not that guy, pal.
I think Najee Harris absolutely is, though. I also love the Melvin Gordon pickup on defense. I love it.
Yeah, 1 year, give him a chance because your defense is already good.
Right. Throw him out there with T.J. Watt.
Yeah, I think they're gearing up to make a run. I really do. One last ride. Ben looks thinner. Actually, just showed his arms. He looks like he's even maybe picked up a weight in the offseason. God forbid. So I'll say this. I do think there are 2 teams in the NFC, though, that can go worst to first. It's between the Falcons and a different team, and we'll get there next week. So
I have the Falcons and another team as well.
Yeah.
It might be the same team.
Probably is.
Probably is.
Probably
Might
have
even
to
be
watch
the-
next week.
You have to watch next week.
I'll tell you who it's not going to be. I'll tell you who it's not going to be, and that's the Eagles.
It's not going to be the Eagles.
You know what, though? But it could also be the Eagles. So next week.
No.
Could be the Eagles. Might be the Eagles.
Well, they got Jalen Hurts, right? Okay, so
That's not a if you're saying that as like a good thing, I think we need to pivot.
oh,
Your justification for saying the Eagles can't be, well, they have Jalen Hurts.
I'm gonna go no Eagles, no Jets. Oh,
Are you considering an AFC team at all? I thought if you were going to consider an AFC team, you might be trying to sneak the Jets in there, but clearly you're not.
no. I just don't see them doing it. I see Buffalo still being the clear winner there. I see the Patriots getting better. The Patriots made they made a bunch of moves, remember, just a couple months ago.
Not only did they make a bunch of moves, but they just have so many people who sat the year out that are coming back.
Yeah. Plus, they got Mac Jones, who's not going to start. They're going to start Cam Newton still, obviously.
Yeah.
At least start out. He'll start playing.
I got some breaking news on the Apple Watch. Kelly Oubre, who I'm a huge fan of, is eyeballing the Spurs. His team said that they think he would be a great fit. And I agree. I already kind of thought that might happen. I'm surprised that any player is eyeing the Spurs. I think what he's really eyeing is the $50 million in cap space we have. Like he knows, he knows that there's probably two teams in the entire league that can pay him what he wants. Which, by the way, this keeps happening. It happened with Morris last year. It's us and the Knicks. The Knicks also have like $50 million in cap space. They actually have a little more than we do. The Knicks and oh man, I'm drawing a blank right now. Who's the Knicks fan that we know? Watches the show most weeks.
Randy?
Oh, he's a Knicks and Yankees fan, right?
Yeah, he's a Knicks fan. He's a Jets fan. So he's
and a Yankees fan.
I think he's a Yankees fan.
Yeah. He's been talking. Me and him have been talking MLB free agency, which, by the way, I had on the docket today, and I nixed it because the Dodgers just got. I knew Sean was going to be around, and the Dodgers just got everything they wanted.
And the Cubs don't have anybody now.
No, man, the Cubs are sad because it's like I understand why they tore it down. They missed their window, but man, when you saw all the people that they got rid of, you realize like they definitely had a window. And they got a championship, right? But they could have had a few even.
It just sucks because I like the Cubs are my 2 team, and I like a lot of those players a lot.
Oh, but
they got their ring though. I mean, they got their.
That's all that matters. Curse is over. But no, back to Randy. The Randy is a Knicks fan, yeah, for sure. And I think both of our teams, and me and him said this to each other. Both of our teams are about to overpay a couple of people. Because that's what you got to do when you're one of these teams. You got to overpay a couple people. At least we both have coaching to kind of justify it, right?
I wanted to make an early call, but Chris Bryant to the Giants is going to get them another championship.
I think they would win this year. I think they upset the Dodgers. I really do.
Well, I mean, and if you look at it historically, the Giants have been that team. I mean, they have always been that team.
It's that off year. It's that off year.
Yeah, every few years, the goddamn San Francisco Giants rear their ugly head and get a championship. It's weird, but this is it. It's an off year. They just got Chris Bryant. Like they're good. They were good already.
They were already the best. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they sneak in. I think it's the Giants this year. Absolutely. Also, I will. I don't know if they're. I think the Mariners are battling for a wild card, but they're over 500. They're well over 500, well past the All-Star weekend, which is Wonderful.
And guess what? They made moves, and they're better now.
Yeah. I think there's a good chance the Mariners could get the wild card spot.
Well, there's multiple now.
Right. So could this be the first time they've been to the playoffs since 2001?
And you know what? They don't need to win a single game. They just need to make it.
No, they just need to go.
Yeah, take them out. Take them out in that like elimination game. Who cares? They just need to get there.
Just the fact that they're there, it's like going to be winning the World Series.
I'll feel that way for you.
They can lose by 12, and it'd still be like, well, at least they got to the.
Yeah, this is huge.
Yeah, this is big for the Mariners. This is the best I've felt about being a Mariners fan in a long time for the whole summer. I've always felt good in like February and March and April and even May. So usually by the time All-Star Weekend rolls around, though, you've already figured out that they're not going to do it.
Yeah, it's time to pack it up and watch a different sport.
Yeah. Do you know what the difference between a Mariners hot dog and a Yankees hot dog is?
What?
You can still eat a Yankees hot dog in October.
That's good.
Thank you.
I like that.
Or what do the Mariners and lawn furniture have in common?
What?
Every fall they get folded and put away for the rest of the year.
God damn it. I like it.
My grandpa told me those a long time ago.
And they're still true.
Shout out to Grandpa.
And they're still true.
They are still true.
Great show today, by the way.
Great show today. I really enjoyed this one. I think we're going to take a conversation off the air, but thank you for everybody for listening and for everybody watching the show. Sean was short today, but he is living in the Valley now, so we'll be doing more shows in person. I'll also be watching so much more football. Also, for our fans and friends that really watch the show and pay attention every week, we are going to do – this is the first time we've ever done this. We're going to do Pick'em still. Absolutely, we'll still do Pick'em. But we are going to do a fantasy. It sounds like we're going to do a league. We're going to build a league. And Zach is going to get to be the commissioner. I'm really glad I get to say that you get to be the commissioner because it was going to be I was going to beg you to be the commissioner because I don't know what I'm doing. So from henceforth forth, you will be Commissioner Swan.
I prefer Commissioner Daddy, but that's fine.
Okay, that's fine. Commissioner Daddy. The reason why I'm bringing it up. The reason why I'm bringing it up is because for those fans / friends that always listen or watch, we would like for you to participate in this league, and we'll cherry pick who's going to do it. But I'm thinking I'd love Jesse Knight, Randy, maybe Jeff.
Andy King's fun to beat up on.
Andy King. Maybe Michael Wegg. I'm just saying. I'm trying to think of the names of people who have supported us. Paul.
Yeah.
So be thinking of Commissioner Daddy. Be thinking of like those people who could join our league because I would love to be able to bring anyone who gets invited to this league. I would love to have on as guests as well.
My mom.
It's good, mom. So I'm really excited about that.
She will beat us.
Because last year was my first fantasy football league, and now I'm going to be in 2 this year. I'll be in 1 for work again, but I'll be in this one for the show. And I'm.
You know what would be even better? If we did our draft over this.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Share screen, everything.
I love it. I love the idea. Okay, this is happening. We're gonna do a draft. We'll do a big event for it. We'll do a big draft event for it.
Yeah. I don't know if Ward still watches the show, our producer, but if he does, get ready to edit a lot of stuff in post.
Oh yeah, I have everything in post. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm really excited for this year for football.
Do these still go to Spotify?
I believe so. Yeah, I think he still takes them. I haven't checked in a while though. Run!
I love it. Okay, well, I'll get it going, and we'll start getting invites out.
All right, man. I'm going to take us off the air. Everybody have a great weekend. Go Wildcats. Go Warriors. Go USA men's basketball.
Yeah, none of the rest of the USA, but definitely go basketball.
Yeah. Well, the rest of the whatever. All right.
I watched swimming last night. It was kind of awesome.
I did watch the women's softball game against Japan where they got the silver. It was still a good game. I mean, they lost 2-0, but it was a tough game, dude. Japan's good.
Yeah, they really are.
Yeah, they're so good at softball. It was a fun game. It was fun to watch, man. Women's softball. Love it. Have a good weekend.
Later.